friend, it's Pat Sloan, and it is April. Yay! April, yay! March is done. I need to get rid of March. Whatever, I need to get rid of it. So let me just give you an update on my my skin. So I got a call from the doctor's office on late Thursday that it was basal cell carcinoma, which is a form of skin cancer. It is the kind of skin cancer that I had on the side of my nose here. So this is the second instance. They are not the same instance. It doesn't reoccur. It is a new one. This is generally the type that a lot of people, you will hear them say, oh, I went and got like a little, thing removed and now it's all gone. So, but there are different types of them, and they have tentacles that go down and spread. They're also very slow growing. So mine, when the doctor removed it, surgeon removed it, and she told me at the time, she was, I took enough that if it, that hopefully it'll get all of those little tentacles that spread out. And so the good news is, yes, she got everything. It's called clear margins. So they look around the outside of the sample that they removed. Well, it's not a sample, the piece they removed of your face. And if it's clear, meaning there's no cancer cells on the outside or around any of it, the bottom, whatever, then you're done. So I don't have to go for the Mohs surgery, which was taking layer by layer until they got to a clear layer, which was what they did on my nose. So they're different procedures for whatever you have. If this had, this luckily now I'm done. She stitched me up. She did final stitching. So beautiful stitches, which have to come out will be coming out. So you'll probably see another video with the bandage before they're out. And then it'll just heal up, and your skin on your face heals super fast. I learned that the first time, and so it's looking very good already. And of course, it's a lot less. It was like 0.3 was the length, which is a little bigger than 1/4 of an inch long, is what the incision was. So anyways, I thought I would give you the lowdown. So I'm very happy about that. That's good. It's not good news that it was basal cell. That's not nice to know. I was hoping maybe it was just a weird textured scar of some sort. But no. And it looked very much like the last one to me. So, okay, so there you go. So got the update, got that done. That's why I'm like, let's get March out of the way. Let's go into April. So we're here. We are here. Remember to download the April calendar of projects if you have not done that yet. So I am, the other thing, today, celebration of days, it is tatting day. So I don't know if any of you do tatting. Tell me about it in the description box here at YouTube, not at the Facebook group. Just tell me about it in YouTube. It's a very old craft. Of course, it's been around a long time. I don't know that there's that many, I don't know how many people actually still doing tatting at the moment, but I'm sure there is a group of you. So I would love to hear. Okay, let me just show you a couple little sweet mail things. So this was from Georgia in South Dakota. She sent me a sweet card, and these came before Easter, but of course, not till after I filmed Friday's video. So remember, I filmed things a little bit earlier, so they have to get here before that. Okay, this one is from, I think it's Anna. It's either Anna, Clara, or Luna. You know who you are. It's so sweet. But I had trouble reading your first letter there. Sorry. Very sweet card. And she sent me goodies. She sent me some, I had to hide these from Mr. Greg. Oh, Peeps, pink Peeps, little bunny, chocolate covered bunnies, marshmallow Peeps. These are excellent in coffee as well as the dipped ones, the full chocolate. Yeah, they float super nice in your coffee. Some yummy gummies, and the sweetest little gnome. She said that was made locally. Look at this gnome. Look how sweet. Aw, so sweet. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Now I want to do two things today. I have got the red flowers and the navy to put on the block a day to put the borders on. So we're going to talk a little bit about trimming that center up, and then I also want to measure the mercantile and look at those cutaways from behind the circles and see what I can do with them to create some sort of border, just to use them up. I'm not going to do the same border as the pattern. I'll do a little bit modified border. All right, we'll go to the other side. For the toffee bars, which is our block a day for March, the past month, there's 3 borders. There's a 2.5, a 1.5, and a 6.5, so that your outer border fabric is really the personality of your quilt. You know, if I'm gonna pick red. Like, did any of you think I wasn't picking red? Someone was like, well, I can't tell. Like, no, it's just red, even though I asked you for choices. Red and white. So, you know, if I picked blue, it would have a more blue feel. Whatever you're picking for that outer border color is going to have a big impact, because you are putting this big frame around the whole entire center. And what I do for quilts like this that are on point, my dealio here is that even though I give you the mathematical sizes of what you trim it to and what you will then cut your borders, in reality, on an on-point quilt, I will measure my quilt. So I know exactly my measurements, because it could be off a little bit. I could decide to float this outer border a bit so that I'm not coming right up to the points, which I'll show you what that means. So I measure mine again, and I use the big 20.5-inch ruler. Someone said there's a bigger inch ruler out there now, a bigger square than 20.5. I haven't searched yet to see. But, you know, for me, what I think I want to do is just make this kind of as big as it can be. And so that means down here, and I'm going to scroll in, hold on. So right here is the point. And I could say I'm going to trim it 1/4 inch, which means that the first border, then this point will come right at the first border. But if I want to float this, which is what I am going to do, I am going to just trim out here. Do you see how this, whoops, my camera coming in close. Okay, so do you see here, this ruler is like pretty much right on the edge. There's probably a little bit to trim, but how this piece was sticking out a bit more. Do you see how that is? So this will get trimmed away here, and I will use that, whatever this measurement is then. It's like 1/8, 1/4, so it's a half. So it's a 1/2 inch out. So I've got a 1/2 inch out. So what I'm going to try to do is at least go a 1/2 inch out. And I need to check it a little bit, because that might be just a bit too wide. I might instead need to go like 3/8, 1, 2, 3, like 3/8. So that might be more reasonable, because there might be some up here that don't have quite a 1/2 inch to use. So you need to look at your own individual quilt and decide what you want to do out here. 1/4 inch, of course, is the least amount, because otherwise you will chop off your points, and there's no reason to do that. So I will be doing, and I have the ruler, the big 20.5-inch square, and I'll do each of the corners. I'll do all 4 corners, and then I will trim between this point here and then over there, wherever that is, you know, when I get to that. So I will trim this space I can get on all 4, and then trim in between them. And to me, that will give me what I need. And then I will measure afterwards to be sure that I haven't sort of twisted or gotten something a little crazy. So first thing to do is take the rotary cutter, and I'm going to put this at 3/8 and put that one at 3/8, and then trim this off. So I've got that trimmed off, and then I'll be up here on 3/8 and 3/8 up there. And don't be shifting, you know, check your corner here that you're not, like, you know, moving it where it shouldn't be. And so I've got 3/8 up there. Now I have to go do the other 4 corners, and then I will show you in between them. Next, between here, which is where I stopped from this section, over to here, so it's not that far, this section here I need to trim, which is going past the 1 point. And so all I have to do is come up here and put this ruler along, and then I know what I've got to do. I've just got to go through here and trim that guy off. So there we go. And that I will do on the now other 3 sides, and then I've got this trimmed. Now audition your border before you cut anything. So even though you might have in your mind, this is perfect, you might lay it out and go, well, that's not the visual I was hoping for. So, but I am happy with this. So I will be doing red for these 2 and this blue, which is a little lighter blue than this one. So it's not quite that dark one. So I will be adding that. So I'll be cutting them. But before I cut them, now that I've trimmed my quilt down to my quilt's personal size, what I'm going to do is measure 2 sides, 2 opposite sides, and then the other 2 opposite sides, all 4 sides. If I'm happy that they're equal or within like a 1/4 inch of each other, then I will cut the strips, two strips for the first inner border. Oh, actually they'll be red. So the first inner border will be red, and they're 2.5 inch strips, and I will cut them to the size of like the sides. Sew them on, then measure the top and bottom and cut the other 2. So I'm going to measure, cut 2, sew them. Then measure the next unit, cut 2, sew them, and do that for all 3 borders. And that way I know they are perfect for what I trimmed my center quilt to. And so I am going to go ahead and get those all sewn on there and then show you. Just wanted to point out that I designed this and wrote the pattern so that you're putting sides and then top and bottom. Sides of the little inner one, top and bottom, which doesn't matter quite as much, the little inner one, because you can piece that easily. But I don't want to piece. I'm going to cut this without piecing it. And so I put sides and then top and bottom. And the reason why is that it's more efficient fabric-wise to do it this way. So otherwise, if I had done the sides last on the outer one, I would have needed more yardage for length of fabric. Instead, they actually come out pretty much the same length. So I can cut a chunk off that is about 4.5 inches so that I know I have enough. And then I can cut the inner and the outer borders all from that. And it does, when you do that, you will have fabric that is this long piece left over that you haven't used for your borders. I'm okay with that because I would rather have this fabric as one piece rather than piecing it. But for those of you that might have a tiny print that you don't mind seeing the seams, or you have your fabric is very limited, so you have to fussy cut and piece the border, but I don't have to. It's my fabric line, Paradise Park, and so I have enough of it. I can go ahead and cut that whole length. And even though I measured mine, that's what I'm saying, I'll probably cut like 65 just so that it's big enough, because I'm not, I'm close to what these numbers are in here, but I'm probably just a little bit different based on the fact that I'm floating that middle like 1/4 inch. So here it is. Here is the length all the way out. So I will be using this piece to trim the inner border, all 4 of them, and the outer border, all 4 of them. And of course this is folded over, so when I'm done I will have a long piece, but it'll be more narrow. It won't be width of fabric anymore. But that's good because it's usable, it's very usable, and I won't have to have pieced any of my border. The beautiful flowers can all stay as one. All right, so the first 2 borders, and I'll put them on and just show you what that looks like. And then it'll be just repeating for all 3. Here are 2 borders on. The first inner borders, so they're just on the sides, so you can see there. And then now what I'll do is I will measure the top and bottom and take whatever measurement, then I decide whether they're exactly the same. I can use that measurement. If they're slightly different, I might take the in between. So if there's like a 1/2 inch difference for some reason, I might take it at the, the 1/4 inch in between. So they have to be the same size, but I'll have to figure out what I want. If they, for some reason they were way off, which I don't think they will be, but if they were, I'd have to either figure out what my error was or do some tucking or something, right? We've all been there. Now, we have all been there if we're a quilter. Now, I know for some of you, you are very particular and very precise, and you really enjoy that part of quilt making, and so you might approach your squaring up of your quilt in an entirely different method. Then there are some of you who really don't want to go through this much measuring and process, and so I know some of you will just kind of just whack it off, just lay the ruler down, cut it off, and then start adding borders, and that's totally fine as well, as long as you are happy with the outcome that you produce. If you have been maybe whacking it off and then finding out your quilt isn't square, that maybe it's longer on one corner, that's generally why that happens, because you didn't do the measurements. And so this might give you a way to approach that. And then, of course, you can go look on the internet for probably 800 different ways to trim up your quilt. It is something that a lot of people like to talk about. So you can go check that out. See what you find. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is do all of these, all the borders, and then come back. Hopefully come back today, because it's 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. I'm filming this on Friday. And so, yeah. This part I have to, see how much time it takes. So I will check in when it's all done. It is 6 p.m. on Friday night, and I have finished. I got the top done of our March block-a-day, the toffee bars. So here you go. Ta-da! Oh, I love the red and white. Just love it. Came out super cute, super cute. So that means this, I need to pick a backing for it. I'm probably going to do a Harmony wide back. I'm going to, one of my lines, it's a wide back. So I think I'm going to do that. It is 6 p.m. Friday night. So I am going to wrap up what I'm doing here, and then I will continue filming for this video tomorrow. Well, it's a new day. Cheers. We have some coffee going on in the mushroom cup. So I've got mercantile. This is what we're going to do for the ending segment, is figure out a border option. So I have all the blocks. I just sort of pinned the top up here. The flimsy, for those of you who love that word like I do, a top is often called a flimsy. And no, it is not a European word. It is just something that started many years ago, and I guess not everybody knows the word. So anyway, there we go. I've got the top. Now the other component here is the cutaways, because I want to use these, and they are only so big. They're not gigantic, and so I think we're going to look at what can be done. Usable space. This is like 6 inches. Okay, so let me just get the bigger ruler. So if I were just going to cut 6 inches, but I think 6 inches is just, I could have chunks. It's going to be a scrappy border. But I think that's, I don't really like that concept too much. I don't know. I'm thinking something else. So let's go, I think 6 inches is too wide. I overpower this. So let's take a look at my software, and I'm just going to play around a little bit and see what happens. So I created this mercantile border file, and the interesting part about the center of this is that it'll be 45 across, which is right here. You can see 45 across, and the length of it is 59 and a half, which is all funky sizes. But ultimately that's not going to matter, because I'm going to make a scrappy border. So really all I need to do is kind of get the final size. I'm going to put that gingham, that black gingham, in the as a inner border, and so I want to go ahead and there we go. go ahead and put that here. Now, I want to remind you this software I'm using has nothing to do with quilts. It is a professional level software that has been discontinued many, many years ago, so I hope it does not break. But you can use any kind of software. You can do this on graph paper by hand. Of course, using the computer makes it so much easier. You can do this in EQ, although the process looks nothing like this in EQ. You would be handling it much different. In this program, I'm basically like I have a blank sheet of paper. I like to work without a grid. You could make the grid visible, but I don't like to see it. But it is on grid, so it snaps, so everything snaps into place and is mathematically correct for pattern writing. So now I'm up to 49 and across by 63 and a half because I added 2 inches on both sides. And now for the border, I looked at the fabric and I can do something scrappy like 2-inch strip. It's narrow though. The 2-inch strip is going to be narrow. If I make it like a 4-inch, let's say like that to be, you know, twice as wide, that gives it a little bit more punch, you know, but it also, those scraps, it doesn't use them up as effectively. I won't be able to get as much out of them. And so I am thinking that I might just go with the 2-inch and just leave it at that. Then that's just what it is. And then the other thing I could do is I could do a 2-inch twice. I could do a first level of 2-inch and then a second level around. And so they would be scrappy. I can sew stuff together from those cutaways. And then I will have to sew more fabric. I won't be able to. So if I was going to make this as scrappy so that you could visualize it scrappy, because I don't really care what the sizes are, which means that funky stuff, I don't have to mathematically make anything correct, which is nice. So let me just get rid of that one. And I'll take this and I'll duplicate it, but you know, that doesn't look good. Duplicate it like that, does it? So we're going to rotate there. So now we get a little bit more variety. And so I can kind of see, and I kind of like this. I kind of like making it as a double border, a double 2-inch border. And then I would just take this and turn it on its side. Whoops, wrong thing. Wrong command. I did the behind command. So here's, you know, this is not exactly how it would go, but I just want to do it fast. And then I would need to duplicate these guys. This is how the computer makes it so much faster, because I don't have to really, you know, futz around on paper and erase or, you know, redraw or do any kind of weird stuff. So, okay, so I'm not snapping it to grid there too good, am I? Okay, it's like watching paint dry to watch somebody do this. All right, so we'll just put it on the other side too. So there would be, and so inside would be mercantile. This would actually be quite dark, so let's make it dark so we can see it dark. There we go. Oops, I accidentally got that one. We'll put him back.
So if I do the 2.5-inch strips, which finish 2 inches, and then bank them next to each other, then I can sort of sew the bits together as well, like any small pieces I can sew together. And then I may or may not, I probably will have to go into the yardage, you know, the fat quarter bundle of things that are used and probably cut some more. But I'm okay with all of that part, because I can see how much I can get. So for here, like if I just started at the outside edge, you know, I obviously have to, these, you know, slants are not going to be the greatest, but I've got one down here that's got a cut. So I'm just going to cut that one real quick and show you. We're just going to cut along here because I've already got that one cut, so I've got an issue to deal with the marking. So here we go. So if I want to do the 2.5-inch strip, and then I would trim the ends straight so that I can just sew these things together. And it does have that seam, so you could, on one where I didn't have it cut along those seams, I could do a 5-inch strip and center this on the 2.5 like it was the 2 rows, but I'm just not going to worry about that because that's just like, that's too difficult. Instead, I'm just going to cut things like this and then trim off these ends. So I've got all these chunks that I will sew together for the border, and I'll, you know, make it random so can be, and then there'll be you know, a second layer of the fabrics. So that is how I'm going to approach it. So I'm going to work on that today, and tomorrow's video I'll show you how far I got, and you know, well, whatever's on the schedule for tomorrow. So, you know, this is Quilting Life. Thank you for hanging out with me. Also, thank you so much for the love and support. It's been anxious. My one friend, you described it as an anxious week. So it has been even more than a week, just waiting to get this diagnosed and getting a result. And so I appreciate all the love and you've sent my way. So there we go. So I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.